the shop, and Nikola Tesla. Most of what was on Drew's properties was metals of all types that he collected over a 20-year span. He built shops and outbuildings for various different jobs such as welding, painting, sandblasting, and mechanical repairs over that span of years. Drew was underground already and working under the table, repairing and building things for different people by word of mouth, trailers and any repairs of any metal components, car and truck repairs. He also knew how to use all of the welding techniques and was set up for painting any metals. Basically, he was manufacturing new parts from scrap. Secrecy is what I wanted, and this was the right place. Magic moved in with Drew and was elated to be in on this. Everything we needed was there. Then, one at a time, we found the right paints, the right prints and plans of other people's work that Magic had been studying. Those little discoveries and milestones we found that fell right into our plans and projects. He was interested in the lifter experiments and a new way to wind copper for a supercoil to repel and attract, and now realized finally and said, "This is so simple. Finally, we can now input our key as the basis. This is what they are all missing." Magic was extremely excited and suddenly had a eureka moment. It's what happens with the body and the interaction as a person douses. You have to cast a magnetic field first in front of the craft, then into the device. It's like riding a wave, but you keep making the wave bigger. You are the source of the first field and are the battery or power, but now look at this. He already drawn up the basis for the next drive system. "Wait," I said as I showed them another key. "Watch this." I put a piece of gold that had a chunk of quartz attached to it and rubbed it on the plastic gold pan and set it on the side of the pan and shook it slightly. It leaped up into the air to the other side of the pan. It jumped about 6 inches into the air as it returned to the opposite side of the pan. "Oh my God," Magic blurted. "This is it, the missing component to your theory. It all comes together with static. I have to add this." He immediately started to draw again, corrections to the plans. It seemed we were going on to a bigger, improved version very soon. So we mulled many things over as we built the second device in the shop. Magnifying the electrical field that our device created was a big breakthrough, since it meant a greater attraction and repulsion. Plus, this acted as a force field and power currents could be collected at the same time using Tesla's theories. This was something we didn't expect, and increasing the input, that increased movement exponentially. There would be no limit of where we could go theoretically. Like a dowser, it had to work no matter which way it was pointing to or where the attraction or reaction source was located. It will always lock onto the best, strongest point or repelled from that point if you reverse the flow. We then realized it had to be gyroscopic in its function. This would allow for any directional change on this planet. But first, we needed only to concentrate on two movements, up and down. To defeat gravity, it had to work against the pull of gravity. I knew this could be done in nature, so logically it should perform as a machine in our first experiment. Dousing in a hard rock mine shaft demonstrated this easily, almost constantly pointing up, but basically in any direction where metals lay hidden in the field of the earth. It was so simplistic when you have an unlimited power source. We had to think in symmetry and equilibrium, basically circles. We had to figure out how to stack that power and build it up and release less than we took in. We had to cut the field of what we were attracting to at any given spike or well that we flew over, then build an attraction at least to the fourth power at minimum, or build electrical pressure from without the system, then releasing that power through the gold and quartz against the field. Like a snap of lightning, like gold and quartz in the pan, but 1,000 times a second, which would cause lots of pressure and ionization while in the atmosphere, which was to be expected, but still an unknown till we seen it on a photo later when we could finally test the next and third device. I had helped develop these thoughts in my head from the science I had learned about space travel. They, NASA, stated we couldn't carry enough fuel to go to the nearest star. It would be impossible to push our way through space and fast enough to get to the closest star, Proxima Centauri, within a reasonable time. It was rather depressing to think, for my lifetime, we would be stuck in just this solar system, and the human race, while killing the planet, would never have the chance for unlimited resources and deep space travel. My new thoughts were, if we could pick up that energy from a star and amplify the attraction of its gravity and magnetic field, why couldn't we pull our way to that star as we powered off or repelled from the magnetic field behind us, doing both at the same time, like riding a wave? Why couldn't we repel off the gravity of our own planet and then our sun and attract to the destination point all at the same time? So we started to build a replica of my first working model for integration with Drew's Beechcraft, but on a larger scale, with crystals now to focus and amplified stored power and to release it. We had based our voltage off a 12-volt source. This second time, we used an inverter to step it up to 110 volts. And in this way, we could start to use everyday electronic parts that we could get easily and to power a Tesla coil for the final input. We also had to make our own milky quartz crystal and mount them onto 4 rotating blades. The right coating of crystals took several tries to get right. Our goal was to see if we could get the device to take over the lift in the field by repelling the gravitational pull of the Earth and casting a field in front or above us. We figured that if we mounted it to the floor of the Beechcraft, put the plane on autopilot, turned on the device, we should see deviation in its course, in altitude, up or down. In other words, pulling on the field below us in the earth and repelling from above us or below us using the energy in the ionosphere too. Or if there was only one part of the magnetic field we could work with, then it might be reversing polarity to go up or down. We had to prove this part first. There were a few things we weren't sure of because we tested those things over and over by basic trial and error many times. We expected small variations of altitude, and we thought this would happen over a great length of time and distance while flying. It took us months to build the next prototype and a month or more to have all of it computerized to find the best tuned power frequencies that could mesh with the field of the Earth. These are the concepts that we use basically, but not all of them, and there were two metals used that fit both paramagnetic and diamagnetism. Platinum and gold were incorporated by electroplating into flat blades of steel, half on one side, half on the other side. Each blade was wrapped in wound coils of gold, the same side that the gold was floated on, that side inside an autoclave. That solution was prepared to grow quartz crystals that would attract to the electroplated gold side only. The gold came from my mining expeditions, and there was about 2 ounces used. The palladium and platinum metals were taken from catalytic converters from the work done at Magic and Drew's shop, and some I managed to mine. Much of it was from work on cars and trucks that had their exhaust systems changed or collected as junk parts. In other words, catalytic converters from different vehicles, and some gold from different circuit boards from junk electronics also. Then we would use these for electroplating those elements into parts of our device. We decided also to use silver and gold wire as the main wiring since it was the best conductor of electricity, but we would have to buy that. The easiest way I can describe its workings is like this. The 4 blades with the coils were set to spin at 800 RPMs. This device had only one direction that it would work in, and that was repelling unless we reversed the current. The power of the magnetic field was sent to the tips that were spinning across the coils. There it was pulsed at a certain frequency and was increased when needed. Some internal workings were connected with brushes for the contacts like in an alternator, and all were set on bearings. If you look at a ceiling fan with 4 blades, near the end of the blades would be where the copper coils were exposed to the blades. The blades were attached to the spinning motor. If this worked, then the flex of the blades would transfer the workforce through the rest of the frame into the plane, and then we hoped they didn't flex to an extreme breaking point. The power from electronics was transferred through another set of brushes on the outside of the spinning motor to the coils. The power into the coils had to be figured out in the sense of which frequency and which pulse set of rhythms and how many volts would work, and what type of electrical current would be the most efficient. For this we realized we would need more was in that first model used. It took many more experiments to figure this out, as combinations would be endless and frustrating at times. Here are some of the things we drew up and things we looked at from other theories. This theory is close, But without the key that I have observed, the piezo actuator is backwards. It must be grown into the gold fans or plates. The SI should be the AU with the quartz crystals attached to the whole surface. Instead of the SI, the fiber interferometer is replaced by a Tesla coil and a winding of copper to cast the magnetic field into the unit. The SI or tin is replaced with PT, which is platinum. This working model below shows on a microscopic range what my first working model showed at a 1/32nd scale. The types of coil we used the first time for the device in the plane. This is a picture. Next, Chapter 10, The Plane and Red Skies. And I'll add this. There's something to the Mandela effect because of memories of people. It's like half of the people remember certain things one way and half the people remember certain things the other way. And if you study any of that, you'll understand what I'm saying right now. And some people say that the collider in Switzerland at CERN was responsible for opening up a gateway that did something to two different realities, and I'm almost certain about that, and I can't tell you what's going on and why I'm in this reality just yet. And as I read these chapters, it's from what I experienced after being shot, and after that I wrote down those experiences and what else I could add to that was occurring as I reviewed my past life. And basically, I'll let you know what happens later in part 2 of this story because it's huge. Alright, over and out.